Hey guys, it's Crystal, and welcome back to my channel. Last month, I read 3 different books. More books than I typically read in a month. Sometimes I read 1 book, sometimes I just read 2 books. It's just a matter of how much time I have into reading. But last month, I somehow managed to read 3, which was awesome. And I wanted to tell you guys about them, give a mini review on each one, what I thought about each book, and whether or not I would recommend reading them. So the first book that I read is The Loneliest Girl in the Universe. To sum up, our main character, Romy, she was born on a spaceship that is heading to Earth 2. It's a colonization mission, and a tragic accident happens on the ship while she is on board, while her and her parents and the entire crew are on board, leaving her by herself just to command the Infinity, which is the ship that she's on, and to get the ship to Earth 2 to complete the mission. Along the way, she finds out that another ship, an upgraded version of the Infinity known as the Eternity, has taken off and is on course to meet with her ship, so that way she is not alone. Technically, that's not the whole reason why NASA sent the second ship, but she thinks, or she believes, that she is no longer going to be by herself. While she waits for the Eternity to reach her, her and the commander of the ship begin to exchange emails and get to know each other and communicate while the Eternity is catching up to the Infinity. And little by little, she starts to trust the commander of the new ship and is excited and is waiting for the commander to arrive. This book was a relatively quick read. The chapters were very short. Some were as little as a page long. Yeah. Some chapters were like this, and they're technically not chapters. They're just, as you can read up here, days until the Infinity arrives. So it's basically like a countdown that the main character of the book has going on. So this book was a relatively very quick read. I read it in a span of 5 days, which honestly is one of the shortest amounts of times that I've read a book, and I consumed it. Did I enjoy it? It was okay. It was definitely a nice change of pace from the romance books that I read, aka the Twisted series, but it was something different, something that I enjoyed. It's definitely, YA. It was very easy to read and to get through just because of how fast-paced it was. Not to mention, it had a sense of mystery to it, which is what kept me reading. I wanted to find out who this commander was. I wanted to find out why he was sent on the mission, which we ultimately do find out, why he was sent there. We find out who he is, and we find out so much in this book that it just kept me wanting more. It kept me reading. Even though I did give it 3 stars, it was an okay read. It was a quick read, it was a change of pace, and I definitely needed that change of pace. And yes, I would definitely recommend reading this book. If you're looking for something that's quick and easy, short chapters, and will just give you that little sense of mystery, kind of give you that little sense of sitting at the edge of your seat, I would recommend reading this one. The next book that I finally read was The Inheritance Games. I was so excited to pick up this book, to sit down and to read it, because I have heard so many good things about this book, and it has been on my shelf for, I believe, the past 2 years now. I got this while I was finishing up my last semester in college, so it has been waiting a little while to be read. And I finally got around to reading it, and I finally understand the hype around it. To sum it up, our main character, Avery Grams, is summoned by the Hawthorne family to a will reading where she is basically given billions of dollars. She inherits billions of dollars from Tobias Hawthorne, who we find out passes away in the book. Tobias Hawthorne gives Avery Grams all of his inheritance and basically disinherits his own family. And it was just so fun to read. Along the way, we meet the 4 Hawthorne brothers. We have Grayson, Jameson. There's 2 more. I feel bad that I can't remember their names. Future me, edit all the boys' names, please. But we meet the 4 Hawthorne brothers, and little by little, they start to help out Avery to figure out why she inherited everything. They help her out to figure out this puzzle, this mystery that their grandfather had basically set up that the 5 of them need to solve. And this book definitely gave me Knives Out vibes. I don't know if any of you guys have seen that movie with Chris Evans starring in it, but this definitely gave me Knives Out vibes, and it was just so good. So much mystery and puzzles and like figuring things out. Again, kept me at the edge of my seat, kept me guessing, kept me wondering. And again, this also had short chapters, so it was a quick and easy, fast-paced book to read, and I loved it so much. I consumed this book. This book took me, I want to say, about a week to 10 days to read. I believe it was a week that I finished it. Yes, it was a week that I finished this book, and like I said, I consumed it, and it was just so good. And I only gave it 4.5 stars when I reviewed it, just because there were some parts that were definitely very YA, especially Avery's best friend. The way she swears, Avery's best friend at some points was very annoying. Whenever Avery would call her best friend and her best friend would start talking, it took me out of the book, because the best friend would not swear. She would replace any curse word with whatever she can think of. So this book was very YA, but I did still enjoy it, and I definitely recommend reading this series. I haven't started the second book. It is on my TBR list for this month. The second and the third book are on my TBR for this month. So I recommend reading this. It's a 10 out of 10 read, and I cannot wait to get into the series. And the last book that I read last month in May is the book, probably one of the first books that both Booktok and Book Instagram influenced me to get, just because it was highly talked about and all over my feed. Fourth Wing. There was no ands, ifs, or buts about this book. But once I saw it all over the place and I read people's reactions to it, there was no question about it. I needed to get my hands on it. The way I've been describing this book, it's like taking Divergent, Game of Thrones, and a little bit of How to Train Your Dragon put together and then multiply it by 10 and make it for adults. That's what this book is. It's taking those 3, taking a war college and dragons and putting it into one. And when I tell you, I consumed this book. I got this book and I couldn't read it right away because I was still reading the Inheritance Games. But once I finished the Inheritance Games, I picked this book right up and I read it, and to sum it up, this book is about a war college where the students go and train to be writers, to be dragon writers. And these dragon writers, once they graduate their 3rd year, they go off and they get sent to wherever, whether that's the front lines to help out at the war, to help out in war, or wherever else they needed. These students are kind of like what it says up here, fly or die. This war college is intense. It will make or break you. And our main character, Violet, she is forced to sign up for the war college. She spent her whole life training to be a scribe, which in this world, scribes are people who work in like the libraries and they learn about, if I remember correctly, history, and also just jot down the stuff that's going on at the war. So like battle reports, writing down everybody who passed away. That's what our main character trained to do. But her mother forced her to join the war college, and she went to the war college. She trained to be a writer. She becomes a writer, and there's just so much that happens to it. I don't know how many of you watching have read this book yet, but I do not want to spoil anything in this book other than saying that you will grow to love Violet. She's an amazing main character. I love her character so much. You will grow to really enjoy the love interest, Xaden Ryerson. That's all I'm gonna say. And you will grow to really be annoyed by Violet's best friend, who is also in the war college, Dane. There's so much that happens in this book. Like I said, it is a hodgepodge of Divergent, Game of Thrones, and How to Train Your Dragon just thrown in here, but it's just so much better. It's for adults, and I enjoyed it all the way through. But like I said, I do not want to spoil anything for anyone who hasn't read it. Do I recommend it? Absolutely. It's a 10 out of 10 read, especially if you're a Divergent fan or a Game of Thrones fan. You will definitely love this book, and it was a 5 out of 5 star read for me. Just so good. Probably one of the first books that I read all year that has consumed me, and a book that I genuinely enjoyed. While I was reading this book, I found myself just like having physical reactions, whether that was cringing at, some of the cringy parts, whether that was cheering on for, some of my favorite characters, or getting annoyed at Dane whenever he spoke, or just all around having fun with this book and taking part in this book. This is the first time a book has truly been entertaining for me. So yes, I 110% recommend reading The Fourth Wing. It is so good. So yes, that is all the books that I read last month. I'm really looking forward to the next books that I read. Like I said, my TBR list is to finish this series and whatever other book catches my attention for the month of June. With that being said, thank you all so much for watching. Please give it a like, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you guys read last month and what is on your TBR list for the month of June. Please leave that down below. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. Click that notification bell so that way you guys are notified whenever I post a brand new video. Once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next week with a brand new video. Bye!